bien, todo va bien, fortissimo, my boy Shuu is back to his old, vibrant, eccentric self, and it just feels so good to see him, back, like, out of this disheveled, broken state, and getting, the dialogue from the Shuu that we know and love, this kind of fanatical, eccentric, exuberant, kind of demeanor. It's amazing. But here's the thing. Here's what people need to key in on. There is a subtle difference to Shu's character that didn't exist prior to him bouncing back at this stage. Didn't even exist prior in his disheveled state. There's a certain fragility to him. And on top of that, a concern for other details outside of his focal point that show his development and the state that he's in. He could easily be broken once again. And that's something that scares me with Shuu and something that we have to talk about heavily in this review. But aside from that, before I go any further, because this chapter was heavily Shuu focused and everything like that, we're going to have a lot of discussions about Tsukiyama in this chapter. So many good moments, dude. But I have to say something right now, just to clarify my perspective. I know some people disagree with me. I don't know how. I don't abide by. Here's the thing. For those people who believe that Shuu only wants to eat Kaneki, like that's his overarching goal, and he doesn't care about him outside of that at all. I can't abide by that. I'm sorry, and I've been saying it since my finale of part 1. For huge fans of Tokyo Ghoul, and on top of that, fans of Shu's character who really dive into his development like that, can tell you there's no way. If he just wanted to eat Kaneki, he could just eat Sasaki right now. If he just wanted that flavor, he could go eat another one-eyed ghoul. The very fact of the matter is, he's going through this trouble to bring Kaneki's memories back. And you could argue that it has to do with this kind of warped gourmet mentality that Tsukiyama has, where he's trying to get the ultimate epitome of the experience by, relating to the man and everything like that, building up this bond with him, and that'll make it all the better. And that very well could be a portion of it, but nobody can deny, and nobody can convince me that there's not a love from Shuu towards Kaneki that exists, that there's not a concern for the man's well-being, that he doesn't genuinely care about him to some extent. It's obvious. I've said this since the end of part 1, so that's all I can say about that. That's not a point of discussion. This is going to be most likely a long review. It's probably going to be around the length of, how past Tokyo Ghoul reviews have been. We're going to go in-depth, page by page, talk about everything. It's necessary. I'm going to try and keep it short, but I can't promise you anything. It might be shorter than the last couple of reviews, but I can't promise you that, so don't hold me to that. But this chapter, dude, the Tsukiyama Shuu greatness returns. And before I get into anything, before we start going page by page, I have to say that ending. Fuck boy Kanye. And by the way, quick side note. Hori Chie for the motherfucking win. I said it 2 chapters ago. I'll say it again. I love her. I absolutely love her. But I digress. Fuck boy Kanye is about to make himself public enemy number 1. The man is about to become my most hated. Like, he's about to supplant Urie as my most hated. Fuck boy Urie. I never thought he could be beat. But Kanye is about to do it. Yo, you're about to pay the AOGIRI to go after. If a single hair on Saiko or Shirazu's head is touched, because you're interpreting Shu's words as, oh, those midgets are in the way, I can't, get a moment alone with Kaneki, and you think this is the move. This is the play. Oh, let's kill them. Let's have them assassinated, okay? I don't know if a hair on that is touched, I'm going to have to come after you. I'm going to have to go in on you, Kanye. That's all I'm going to say. And I found that last scene interesting simply because of the dialogue between the AOGIRI, and I'm wondering who those individuals are. We see 3 of them cloaked up, kind of get these profile shots. One of them has white hair. One of them seems to be wearing a mask and everything. I can't tell who, which AOGIRI operatives those are in particular, but they seem mad fodders. They seem mad loyal, so I'm not completely worried if they're the ones that are going to carry out the job. I feel like the Qs will be alright. I feel like they'll be fine, but the dialogue was interesting to me because they're like, yo, is our business partner actually coming? And they're talking about Big Madam and how they've lost their funding and their patronage. And I'm wondering, there's 2 ways to look at this. Either those 3 men that are part of the AOGIRI in the cloaks that Kanye is meeting with, or 3 women, whoever they are, those ghouls, are, ex-subordinates of Big Madam, and after, he got fucked up, then he got fucked up, then they, transferred over to the AOGIRI, or it's talking about the inner workings financially of the AOGIRI and how it works, and the grunts kind of being like, yo, we've lost our patronage of Big Madam, because as we know, Big Madam was one of the supporters of the AOGIRI financially, and that's why she, she paid them. That's why they were able to, actually go and assist him. And I don't know why I keep calling it she. It's just that ultimate fucking tranny, dude. I can't even help it. But fucking dude paid them and patronized them. Patronized them. So here's the thing: if that's the case and they've lost some of their funding, I wonder what their move is, and I wonder how that affects the organization as a whole. But I digress. I just found that interesting. Let's dive into the chapter. Let's start from page 1. Let's talk about the Shiki Kijima greatness, because this dialogue, just the character is crazy. The character is so warped that he's definitely going to have a serious heavy moment going for it, dude. Like, it's insane. So basically, Urie is getting on the man's case. He's like, how did you upload a video like that? That's what I was saying last chapter too. You uploaded a video of you torturing a ghoul to the CCG website for everyone to see. I wonder if this is going to have ramifications on, the public's perception of the CCG. And that's definitely something that I wouldn't put past Ishida to delve into quickly and give us some exposition on that, and see kind of a changing sympathy for ghouls. And maybe this is a little, pebble in the stream, a little ripple effect that, aids in, the ultimate reconciliation between ghouls and humans, and bridging that gap, which I've always said throughout part 1, my reviews of part 1 and everything like that, Amon, Kaneki, potentially Hide would be, the focal points of bridging that gap. But that's far off, idealistic endgame. Tokyo Ghoul is far more tragic than that, and I'm never going to pin my hopes on that, but I'm interested to see if this affects public perception. I digress, right? I love Kijima's lines right here, okay? He's like, are you taking the danger into consideration? Using yourself as bait is what Urie says to him. And he's like, I'm fully aware of the danger involved, but I don't value my life. If I were as pretty as you, then maybe I would a little. And if I were as pretty as you, exactly. Now nobody can hate on me for confusing Urie as a woman from time to time, because the androgynous look, the man's calling him pretty. Okay, so don't even come at me with that anymore. I might mess it up a couple more times, but I digress. I don't care how an ugly body like mine gets used. Yo, it just shows how warped his mentality is, what kind of darkness must lie in his past. And I still keeping up the Organization V ties. I still have that theory with, because he was, a cochlea interrogator as well, that he most likely is the informant that Donato gets his information for. So we have to keep that in mind as well. But to just see that mentality, he's just like, I don't give a shit. If I'm not kicked out of the team, I'll see you around. I'm aware I need to head to one of those interrogations. That he's just like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna do this shit. And I wonder if if we're all wrong and he doesn't have any dark ties or affiliations like that, and this is just his sense of justice and he's sacrificing himself like that, it makes fucking Kijima such a interesting, deep character. So I love the beginning to this chapter, which is, incidentally called Depth. This right here, this page, when Masuki and Urie are discussing the video, and I love this Urie as Masuki pair. As much as I hate Urie, I feel like Masuki is going to be the savior of this character. If they actually develop some sort of bond like that, very well be the savior. And this is probably the best line I've ever seen from the man. Something that I actually was like, yo, Urie, I vibe with that. He's like, those internet rubberneckers, they must live their lives like trash. Don't mind what those morons say. At best, try to enjoy the shitty, useless lives you all have. Dude, I'm just like, yo, this fucking fiend just talking shit about the internet. I'm just like, yo, and the thing is, he has a point. He has a point to a certain degree. I'm just like, yo, the man's just dropping sage wisdom right here. I'm like, yo, Urie, I fucks with that line, okay? And then this next page where we see Sasaki's reaction to it. And, Shirazu's like, did you see the video? And he's like, I did. That method is just too cruel. No matter how you look at it, it's completely wrong. And you see this conflict in Sasaki, and he's been feeling this way ever since, the events of the auction and what the events that transpired with Hinami, and thinking about, when he went to visit her in Cochlea, thinking about what's actually just and right concerning ghouls and everything like that. And this is a step in terms of his reconciliation, if this persona actually reconciles and coalesces with Kaneki to that end. But there are fundamental differences, as similar as Sasaki and Kaneki are. There are fundamental differences to their character that arise and that we can see, especially when we see Sukiyama interacting with him. But I digress. When Shirazu says to himself, and it showcases this kind of development after, him killing Nutcracker, probably still reeling a little bit off of some of the PTS symptoms of that. And he's like, aren't we going to kill them in the end anyway, basically? And something about that statement was just so utterly dark. It just evoked this emptiness to me where I'm like, yo, Shirazu, you need to be careful about the path you tread. And seeing that, the glimpses of his past, a couple chapters back and everything like that, I'm so interested to see what kind of moral, sense this character develops, especially after, recent events. So that line really stuck out to me, and as well as this scene showcasing the kind of struggle with everything that's going on inside of Sasaki. And then chapter just goes full Sukiyama mode. So we're going to spend the rest of the review talking about Sukiyama for the most part, and Chie briefly, but I feel like this is going to take like 10 minutes too. So this is going to be probably one of the longer reviews, but whatever. You guys said you don't mind the long reviews, so I have, free license to ramble on. I like it. I really do like going in depth like this. It's my fault that Yuma got caught. Elisa must be in terrible pain because of that move, of that movie. You all went overboard harvesting food for me again and again, right? And can I just say, after we see Shuu and he's looking mad rejuvenated, mad clean, I'm like, no homo, but the man looks dope, the new looks dope, I'm not even gonna lie, like the hair is slightly longer, he's got the part in it, and I'm like, yo, Sukiyama's looking fly, I'm not gonna lie, and there's only a slight problem with me with him getting to this stage right now, simply because I can't really put a finger on how much time has passed between last chapter and this chapter, especially since last chapter he was still in the wheelchair and now he's looking completely rejuvenated. Granted, yes, his reason for living has been revitalized. He's no longer in the utter despair of having lost his purpose in life, and he's probably, eating well again, trying to, he's focused on getting Kaneki back, is what his purpose is right now. So I understand that he's bounced back, and I expected it to happen, but does this offset, my question is, does this offset all of the development, the changes that Minimo was talking about in terms of how his RC cells were so volatile because of the Tsukiyama family's inbreeding, his Kagune starting to take over, and potentially, half-cognitive developments taking place with his miseating and eating, not discriminating between ghouls and humans and everything like that? Is all of that moot now? That's something that I'll have a problem with, and hopefully that's not the case. But I knowing Ishida, I seriously doubt it. So we're not even going to spend time with that. But seeing him say Matsumai Maru, I just want to bring Elisa's smile back. I'm like, yo, like that's something the old Shuu would never say. And he's like, it wouldn't be wise to go along with Kijima investigators, or blah blah blah. Try and move along, they gotta work in shells and everything like that. The old Shuu, and he's like, the key here is Kanye, is Kaneki. And I love how he ties it into his own methods, but my point is the old Shuu, the very idea of Kaneki at this point would blind him to everything else, knowing him. In all honesty, it truly would. And to see him still concerned about, the people in his life like that, even with this focus, it shows how he's changed. It shows how Kaneki himself has kind of rubbed off and affected Shu's character at this stage now that he's bounced back from his utter despair. So it's interesting to see, especially I feel that's confirmed with his thoughts about Hinami and the rest of Anteiko. And granted, everything that he's thinking and every move that he's making runs through the thought process of, oh, I need to rescue Kaneki, I need to bring Kaneki's memories back. But still, the very fact that he's addressing it in the first part, in the first place, shows that kind of development and growth, right? Right now, he's serving the CCG as Mr. Sasaki. That's the point when he possesses Master would be in Ghoul, like say that Shuu might be different. And here's the thing. Here's why I say that Tsukiyama is mad fragile right now, right? It's because he has this expectation that as long as I bring back his memories, he's bound to cooperate me. It's no problem if it's Kaneki. He's under this impression that there's no way that Kaneki won't return to his senses, that he won't remember him, and that once he does, he'll be willing to come with him. And what happens if, one, he's not the one to actually catalyze Kaneki's return, which I think he's going to have a heavy role in this arc regardless, and we're going to see, just like the foreshadowing that we noted at the beginning of this arc, you know, the coalescing of the personas, or one transplanting the other, or you know, whatever happens, that boils down to by the end of this arc, by the end of spring and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But what happens if even when Kaneki returns, he turns his back on Shuu? What happens if he refuses him and he decides to go down an even different path? Shuu is wrapped up in this mentality of, oh, I want the days back where it was me, you know, Kaneki, Banjo, and Hanami, and I feel like he's echoing my sentiments, because that's what I want back too. No lie, I want the crew back together like that. But what happens if that doesn't go? I feel like he'll be even cast into a darker sense than he even was before. And it might even transform into a sense of rage rather than despair and sadness. So his character right now is mad volatile. But it's reaffirmed in this dialogue, which is so amazing to have the eccentric Shuu back, where he's like, that Kaneki was safe, that he's missing his memories, that he's caught by the CCG, that he's being forced to be a ghoul investigator. But most importantly, he's alive. Subarashi, to va bien. Things will be alright. I'll bring Kaneki's memory back by any means possible, because there's no way he'd want to work as a ghoul investigator. What happens if you're wrong? What happens if things don't go according to what your ideals are? It's almost a little bit naive on Shu's part, and he's blinded by his love for Kaneki at this stage. But I digress. Even Kanye, the only nice Kanye thoughts that I see in this chapter, and that's the thing about Kanye. I hate him. I hate Urie, and it's not that I hate how their characters are written. Ishida does an amazing job with these characters, their development, how they're written, their dialogue, and everything like that. I just don't like them. I just don't like them personally. But I digress. This thought process where he's like, will it actually go that well, is exactly what I'm thinking at the same time. I love the conversation where he calls up Chie and she's like, you know, show him the second photo now. And then she's like, oh shit, I gotta bounce. Sorry. Like, Chie's development just subtly, like, and finding out more about her, especially with the last couple of pages of this chapter, I'm just like, yo, I love her so much, dude. But anyway, like, whatever happens, that the words that she said to him echo in his, you know, in his head. He's like, whatever happens, you must put Tsukiyama's wishes first. And he's like, the little mouse doesn't have to tell me anything otherwise. I'm like, shut up, Kanye, because ultimately, what your actions are right now may very well be going against Shu's wishes. They may very well be. So, and you don't know that. Then you see this amazing reunion of sorts with actual dialogue between Shuu and Sasaki, and it mirrors their first dynamics, you know, chapter 33, I believe it was, you know, chapter 32, 33, around there, you know, chapter 37-ish, when those dialogues, the squash game, when they first converse about Takatsuki, just seeing that kind of mirrored here is beautiful. But you see the flip side of it and how things have changed and progressed, from the artwork to the characters to the dialogue, okay? And I love Tsukiyama's mentality during this scene. He's like, oh, thank you for helping me with the wheelchair the other day. And he's like, your hair has turned quite black again. It reminds me of when we first met. And when I think about it, his hair is mad black at this stage. Like, in these panels, it's so much blacker than it even was last chapter. I'm like, yo, it's crazy. But then you see Tsukiyama kind of fishing for signs of Kaneki, and he's like, do you like books? And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, did you really forget about me? What about those vivid days? And he's like, I'm pretty much reading whatever when I'm free. I'm scared of having nothing to do. And he's like, haha, I know. To be honest, I also like books. And he's like, that's right. And you see this kind of fiendish slit eye of Shuu. Like, I love these panels of Shuu just kind of fiending, just devious, just the zoom in on the one eye like that. He's like, I have this uncanny ability to guess what kind of books people are into. This is like the same kind of dynamic. You like books written by Takatsuki, right? Right now, I know more about Kaneki than he does about himself. And he's trying to use, you know, the ideal and the person that he knows as Kaneki to kind of catalyze Sasaki and run his memories back and bring this persona to the surface. But it's not going as smoothly as he's hoping, and he's realizing that there is fundamentally a different person in Sasaki with this dialogue, because Sasaki confirms himself. Even though we've noted the similarities between Sasaki and Kaneki since the very first chapter of Re, there still are distinctive factors that separate these two personas. And it shows in Sasaki's reaction to Sen Takatsuki's works, to Eto's works. He's like, I read some, but I'm kind of bad with them. He's like, yeah, I like them. He's like, and Tsukiyama's like, wait, hey, what's going on here? He's like, apart from her short stories, all the important or main characters die in her works. It's a little heartbreaking. Behind the skilled expressions and sophisticated writing style, unidentifiable which is the key word there. Sorrow, anger, emptiness, dark emotions show through. Maybe she succumbed to despair and has no hope for anyone. I think that's why she just wants to destroy everything. And I love that fucking panel. This is probably my favorite panel aside from that Shuu panel with the roses behind him. With fucking Eto lying amongst the books, just in the cloak, just looking utterly, you know, in the sense of spirit. I'm like, yo, that shit is amazing, right? And fucking Shuu was so shocked by this, because if you think back, I believe it's around chapter 33, Kaneki's assessment of Takatsuki and his love for her, and he was the one to bring it up to Tsukiyama. He's like, the literary style is so delicate, but has a core strength to it. I'm really fascinated by the vague style of, you know, of his works. And back then we didn't know that Takatsuki was a female or anything like that, so that's why it was translated like that. But that's the thing. The only two things that match up really about his assessment of Takatsuki is the kind of indefinable nature of it, the kind of undefinable, unidentifiable, vague nature of it. But he notes so much despair in his kind of viewpoint of it now, where beforehand he saw some sort of beauty in that darkness. And it's interesting to see that shift while at the same time fundamentally being rooted in the same sense of perception. So that was amazing. But just seeing Tsukiyama's reaction to that, he's like, hey, why? He's like, no, be cool me. He's like, I'm sick, as you can see, trying to manipulate the situation. I don't have many friends that are my age. If you want to talk about books sometime. And I'm just like, the Shuu feels are so heavy right now. I'm just like, he's trying so hard, but you got my and it shows me the split, because when I'm thinking about Shuu, I'm thinking about Toka, I'm thinking about Hinami and everything like that. I'm just like, I love these people, like Banjo. I give anything to have the old crew back together. But it's chapters like this where I realize wholeheartedly, and I've said it before, that I really do love Sasaki as a character. Aside from Kaneki, even though Kaneki is my favorite character in Tokyo Ghoul, I love Sasaki as a character. And I'll be sad to see him go if the personalities don't, you know, combine. So, and if they do combine, that's the thing that's going to, you know, offset Shu's expectations as well. Because if Kaneki doesn't just supplant Sasaki and they combine, who knows what this new, you know, persona's next move is going to be. So that's pretty much it. But you see just the look on his face in that middle left panel on, I believe it's like page 13, where he's like, Sasaki's like, I gotta go back to work. And he's like, please take care of yourself. You see that look in his face where he's like, yo, like the shock, the rage. He's like, no, don't leave me, stretching out to him. And Kanye comes up behind him. And we see basically him stalking Sasaki, like, after this, the many opportunities that he thinks he has, and every time the cues are with him. You see him crouching underneath the staircase where Shirazu and Sasaki are running up. I died when I saw that, dude. I absolutely died. I'm just like, this shit is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the midgets are in the way. I can't be with Kaneki alone. He gets the second picture from Chi, and I love his inner dialogue about Chi. He's like, and you see that flashback about them. He's like, oh, geez, that little friend, she really knows me well. I could bring back Kaneki's memories with this. And he's like, Hori, won't you tell me, just, you see that flashback, just what gourmet food is exactly? And Hori's like, no idea. Think about that yourself. Hey, Tsukiyama, can you really die for some ingredients? Dude, I'm just like, yo, it's shit like this where I'm just like, Hori is fucking amazing, right? And he's like, I want to have one of those light-hearted chats with the little mouse again. I wonder what happened to the rest. The people from Anteiku, little Hinami and the rest. I wonder if they know that Kaneki is alive. And I wonder if Shuu, that's going to be one of his modes of operation, to try and alert them. Because we already know that Toka and the rest of Ri knows that Kaneki's okay and that he's Sasaki. And they're trying to hang back on it. We know that Uta knows, and we know he's playing mind games. We know that Hinami knows. Shuu has no idea what's going on at all in this world right now. And that if you think about it, coming off of part 1, where Shuu was one of the most informed individuals in this world, it's interesting to see it like this, where I wonder how he's going to develop throughout this arc as he finds out different pieces of information, as he continues to try and force Kaneki back to the surface. And if he finds out Hinami's in jail, granted, I don't know how far he'd go for Hinami, but I know he definitely has some, even if it's tiny, some feeling for Hinami. So that's just going to be interesting to me as well. I want to see Banjo as well. At this stage, especially a bunch of all the mentions, knowing that he was Scarecrow and that he was all up at the auction fucking around and trying to do stuff with Terminal. I don't know what his end game was there, but I want to see him. I want to see the man, right? And And that's pretty much it. And then we have this tidbit at the end where the CCG is chasing down Hori-Chie. And they're like, she's taking pictures of ghouls hunting and other things that have a bad influence on society. She has assisted ghouls in hunting and has also hacked the CCG servers, dude. I'm like, yo, she's a beast. There's no end to the amount of crime she's committed. Even we're trying to catch her. And she's just crawling. She's evading them like nothing. She's like, well, if I keep doing things like this, my position in society will keep dropping. And she's dragging this bag along. I wonder what her mission was, what she was trying to do, probably obtaining some sort of evidence, maybe looking into, you know, what happened with, you know, Eliza's, you know, boyfriend and whatnot, the dude that Kijima is torturing and what. Who knows? It could be anything. And we know that Hori-Chie, out of most people in this universe, has probably some of the most information. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the amount of information that Hori-Chie has is on that Donato level. Like, just straight up, I wouldn't be surprised. But then we got this ending where fucking fuckboy Kanye goes to the AOGIRI and tries to pay them to, you know, I got a job for you. Take out these nuisances. I just hope they're fodder. And here's the dialogue. After Maham was annihilated, we lost our sponsors. I don't think they're... Okay, so when reading it again and really looking at it, I think these are just some AOGIRI fodder. They could be some people that we know. It could be like Saito or somebody. Like, who knows who it could possibly be, right? But it looks like fodder to me. Looks like they're just talking about the inner workings, and that makes me interested to see, you know, kind of think about the patronage of AOGIRI and how they financially move about with this world, how they get their resources and everything like that. So that's fucking interesting, but that's pretty much it for the chapter. I'm hyped for fucking next week. That Shuu fucking greatness. Kanye about to supplant Urie on that fuckboy status. Hori-Chie for the motherfucking win. And Kijima, just that kind of insight into how warped his psyche is and what that means for the depth of this character is crazy, dude. So that's pretty much it. Pretty much longest Tokyo Ghoul review so far. And Chibi and I, we're going hard, dude. We're going hard with these analyses, dude. It's gonna keep going. It's gonna keep going, and I need him to keep going in on the way he goes in on his reviews, though, because what I do is I delve into my thoughts and everything and every little subtle detail I can see in the chapter from a character perspective and a plot writing perspective. But Chibi goes that extra mile with the research, and I need him for the clarification on the tarot cards and stuff like that, even though I look it up myself. But I just love having it. So check out Chibi's reviews for Tokyo Ghoul. They're just as good as these. But we're pioneering that long game, that long as 30-minute review game. It's crazy. But anyway, let me know your thoughts, and I'm out. Peace.